Thank you, Professor Soheri. I think it's a nice perspective and view of the Egyptian situation and the way it is changing, the challenges and opportunities as well for a MUNI that is more or less redefining strategies for the future. Secondly, I will give the floor to Professor Orland-Barak, Dean of the Faculty of Education of the University of Haifa in Israel.
Okay, thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Yo podría hacerlo esto en castellano, but we've decided to do it in English, so I'm going to switch to English. I'm Lily Orland-Barak. I'm Dean of the Faculty of Education, Haifa University in Israel. And the first thing I want to say is beyond thank you for this wonderful opportunity to share our experiences, but also competir un poco, no mucho con la cocina with the Spanish cuisine. I've tried to think about higher education in Israel as what I would call a fusion cuisine, que no es como la cocina de ustedes, porque no hay nada que hacer. Spain is Spain in that respect. But basically to talk about the challenges to get you more into the scenery of what is going on in Israel, and to think about the new orientations that we are facing. So what can we learn from the Israeli fusion cuisine? So first of all, let me just locate my university. This is the University of Haifa, the biggest university in the north of Israel. Now, when I say big, it's not as big as you would find in your universities. Altogether, we have 7 research universities, and I will get into that a bit later. Pero esto es como para darles un sentido de que, bueno, if you feel like going to such a university, you have all the greenery, and this is where we're at. All this is the campus, and you have been there, so I suppose you can get the first impressions from that. Our Faculty of Education is one of the 6 faculties out of 20,651 students. In the Faculty of Education, we hold like 2,000 students altogether. BA, MA, PhD, diplomas, non-academic degrees, international students, and pre-academic. The research and teaching faculty altogether is 1,233, but the research track, tenure track faculty is around 500 research members, 6 faculties and 10 schools, and 64 research centers. That is more or less what you might get in other universities, although Hebrew University is bigger, and Tel Aviv, but that is more or less the prototype of a university. So, what's in the pan? I would like to begin by saying that in the fusion cuisine of higher education, we have what I would say complementary and competing agendas coming together. And I would like to talk about each of those distinctively and then have an integration. We are into globalization trends, what we know from the connection or disconnection between research, policy, and practice, and the divides in higher education, the state of the art nowadays, external policy making, evidence from internal evaluation that we're going through, and of course evidence from research. So I hope I can do that all within 15 minutes. Okay. So, globalization trends. Altogether, I think that our universities like yours are going through a system, a very hard system of privatization and decentralization. The Ministry of Education is centralized, the country is centralized in the sense that the ministry dictates policy, but universities have been up to now and still are autonomous. Las 7 universidades are autonomous in terms of the Council of Higher Education, who is the council that dictates and sets the agenda. Although the agenda, as we heard in the morning, is very much like the classics of the money, the 8, 10 classics we had in the morning. Money, money, money makes the world go around, and this is the decentralization that we're going through. The importance to knowledge fields connected to the market, which is also a difference. Nowadays, we're thinking more of what might be relevant for preparing the next generation of people to be relevant professionals and academics, and that's quite different from the old paradigm in higher education. The interesting bit is the mathematics and science over humanities, and here I connect with my colleague in terms of, the applied has been prioritized, and the basics much less. Still, there's a big, big stress on mathematics over humanities, which makes it a bit difficult as far as creating a global human being with all the characteristics that we might want to find in an academic. Pedagogies are more oriented towards problem solving, and there is lots of issues of efficiency. I would even say cost effectiveness, as you would say, maximum profit for minimum cost. And that's a big, big problem. The globalization trends in our university, we are moving towards internationalization, and I must say that has not been it's a slow move. For certain faculties, bigger for certain domains. The virtual world, the idea of lifelong learning, which you have also set as an agenda, mobility, the ranking and validation, which is something that we are also, again, experiencing as new. And the whole idea of language and culture and how the lingua franca might dictate in the next years, although the courses at the universities are taught in Hebrew, the readings are in English. So even at the BA level, whatever students are reading as part of their courses is all in English. But the language of instruction is Hebrew, and we have some courses in English as well. The international and cultural, usually universities hold students from all cultures, and we have Arab-speaking, a big Arab-speaking population of students in every faculty. Hebrew speakers, those are the 2 first languages, and we also have a lot of immigration from Russia. So we have something like a big majority, a big bulk of students coming whose English is not that proficient. So there we have a problem. Let's move on to the research policy practice divide. University professional learning in settings affiliated to public service institutions, and we were talking about this yesterday. We are, little by little, the relations between universities, government offices, and public services are becoming very, very intricate and very, very complex. Like they dictate, to a great extent, what they might want us to do at the university, which is good, because it's making us relevant to the field. But it is also losing a bit of autonomy as to what we might want to do and not to do, because it's financed by private groups. So the standards, as you can see, are determined by policy deliberations, academic standards articulated by the university, and standards that grow out of the local needs, habits, and norms of practice at the workplace. This is the same, and I think this is the big divide. I think we're going through this big divide, and I think you too at the universities in Spain and in Europe. On the one hand, you have, the paradigm of the acquisition of formal abstract knowledge, abstract from context and particularity, and then you have on the other side the particularities of the individual situation, the experiential form of knowledge, and putting it into practice. So you have the theory-practice divide, which has been going on for years, but nowadays there's a recognition that if we don't put the two together in a new form of academic practice, then universities are going to be taken over by colleges, they're going to be taken over by private universities, and we don't have that many. We have altogether much fewer than what you were mentioning in Egypt and probably in other countries, but still this is a big issue. So it's the liberal arts and the sciences and the professional schools. And I think here, this is our big challenge for all of us. How do we make these professional schools stressing a more practical orientation to learning with an academic orientation in order to meet the competition and to meet those and to become relevant. If we look at the case of Israel, we have the economic factors, performance, the funding formula that is based on the research model and the teaching model. So if we, for example, get many students come to one faculty, then we get paid per capita. On the other hand, if you bring more students, then you're opening the admission and making it, more open, and then you're lowering your admission. So what do? Do you lower your admission? On the other hand, we want research and excellence in research. So these two don't always go together. So this is the big debate at universities in Israel. Do we, if we go for the model of being budgeted on the research aspect and on the teaching aspect, the two don't always go together. Bringing in lots of students doesn't mean that you might lower your academic excellence and might even give less time for researchers to do their job in order to get what we need for academic excellence. So I think this is a tension that we're all going through, and we have to decide together where we want to go or how we combine between the two. I'm not going to, I think I'm just looking, just tell me how much time I have left? 1 minute? 1 minute. Okay. I think in this 1 minute, I think it might be interesting for you to share with you what we did in our faculty, and part of the accountability system that we're going through presses us to go from the internal and external evaluation. And look what we got from our very comprehensive evaluation of the faculty. This is from the students and from, a big scheme that took us a whole year to evaluate the Faculty of Education. So what are the important bits we need to take for our cooperations? As I said, the meaningful connections between theory and practice, the practical aspects of academic learning, the learning community, the value of learning in community, the academic isolation of the lonely researcher, which has become more and more towards communities of practice, induction into the world of research, the big issue, which is a challenge of the passage from being a practitioner to becoming a student researcher. I think that's a passage we need to acknowledge and create curricular spaces for that. Experiential learning courses, quality teaching in the academia. Not always the best teachers are the best researchers, and vice versa. So how do we go about that? Academic learning towards acquiring a profession, in other words, professional academization of the professionals. Research track supervision. Too many students wanted to do a thesis or a doctorate and not enough supervisors. There's not enough space. Fast and flexible undergraduate and graduate tracks, that I said before. New interdisciplinary domains in graduate tracks, and as I said, the best researchers are not always the best teachers. And just the last one. So what kind of a plate in between dishes? I think we are. Emergent tensions in a global multicultural reality. I think higher education nowadays is called the pedagogy of it, between competing discourses, agendas, and global and local trends. And the new plates and recipes for a fusion cuisine is what I envision as a center. One of the ideas was the center of the study of education in the professions, bringing all those components together, which we might elaborate later on. But the last one, this is the one, the previous one, ¿cómo dice acá? Anterior, is ¿a dónde vamos? I think we're going for internationalizations and collaborations. We're going for interdisciplinarity, for unique centers of excellence, being creative on something new that no one else has done until now together with other countries, case-based learning, communities of researchers, and the academic citizenship and activism, not just being a good academic and researcher, but also doing something for your community, which is social. And I think all those challenges can best be met when we collaborate across countries and cultures. And this is the idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily, for such a nice presentation. I think, yes, that we have seen another model of higher education in the Mediterranean area. This is something different. Only a limited number of faculties for universities, based a lot oriented to research universities, and with different challenges. I think we share a lot of the common aspects that have been presented here, and I think there's more information that we can also get from the presentation. We will put the PDF on the web so you can study and check, and we'll have some time to discuss at the end of the meeting.